As we stream on all platforms, video, that is. So good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on this, the 28th day of June. Yeah, 28 days, 2 more days to go, with Saturday being the 1st of July. All right, of course, on the show this morning, it's Wednesday, so full cast in. We just heard from Paul Richards with our news. We'll hear from Avi again with our major news at 7 o'clock. Wendell Stephen will join us. Richard Raghubar Singh. Ruben is in the mix. My name is Steve Khan, keeping you company until 9 o'clock this morning. All right, let's get straight into the WTs, see what's happening, weather and traffic at the same time. Approaching Pioche, you got some traffic from Trin City to Orange Grove. Not too bad from there to Uwe. You got a little sticky. A little volume by Aranguez and heading into Port of Spain. From Monroe Road on the Uriah, you've got some traffic towards the interchange, but not too bad. It's moving, and that's about it. Nothing really to tell you about at this time, all right? Weather-wise, it is 26 degrees on both islands, the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's see what the weather is going to be like for today. They say sunny intervals will be interrupted with cloudy periods, with showers in varying localities. There is a high 70% chance that a few showers will become heavy, thundery, and be accompanied by gusty winds, especially during the morning and early afternoon. We are on an adverse weather alert until noon today. All right, yellow level that is. All right, let's check some temps of our listenership, see what the temps are. Toronto, you're cloudy at 15. Miami, clear and 26. Orlando, clear and 26. New York, got a little cloud at 19. Atlanta, clear and also 19. London, cloudy and 21. 27 in Tampa and clear. Washington, D.C., you're sunny at 19. All right, so that's some temps. Let's use send us hellos first thing this Wednesday, this hump day morning. Who sent us messages? Let's see. First off the gate, we've got Trev in Arima, Wendy Ann, Maria Marva, DJ Ray out in Delaware, Oliver Man Warren, it's have a safe hump day, he says. Miss Ingrid out in Tucson, Arizona. Good morning to you. D. Pierre, CJ New York, Carol Guevara, it's hump day. All right, and on YouTube, Leonard Naipaul, good morning to you. Marcia Rock, do have a great day. Thank you, Marcia. And Brenda Isaac, good morning to you. Send us a message on YouTube. So let me say good morning to you, gentlemen. What's happening on this Hump Day Wednesday?
Morning, morning, Steve. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over.
All right, morning to you, Paul. What's happening?
Morning, guys.
Everything good? How's the weather? That was some weather yesterday.
Better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Better than yesterday.
Yeah, it's a nice morning so far, but that thunder and lightning did not stop at all in Port of Spain.
Yeah, it was pretty
like
bad.
Every 5 seconds it was lightning.
Yeah, and it was kind of it was expected yesterday, but expected early yesterday. So it kind of surprised me when it just suddenly changed in the middle of the day.
Yeah, well, the adverse weather alert went in from 2 a.m. yesterday morning. So
yeah, so that's why when I got up yesterday and I saw the weather was so nice, I said, well, okay, maybe this thing has gone past us. Not knowing it was the I was actually on my way into Port of Spain and turned back.
Yeah, there was some serious. Maraval had flooded. Everywhere pretty much had flooding. Chaguanas, Diego Martin, Champlain, that where they did that construction by Mova Junction and the Party bus route, that was flooded towards the Barataria roundabout.
Well, that sent him back.
Yeah, a tree fell on Lady Young Road.
Yeah,
the
roofs were blown off in Mova.
Yeah, yes, Mova and in Port of Spain.
Yes,
TN Tech had their hands full. They had multiple outages. She had to call crews from different areas to come and help restore. But boy, I tell you, the Eastern Main Road, that was some rain. That was scary rain.
It was obviously worse though in the west than it was in the east, because even though we had rain in the east, we didn't have what I saw on social media and I saw on some group chats. When I saw, which is why I left Arima in the rain to come into Port of Spain and then turn back. You know, I said, I don't think this is wise, and I rescheduled the meeting that I was about to come into. Because I knew it would be, but when I went back up east now, I mean, I'm seeing like blue sky showing up. I say, what the hell is really going on in this place? Yeah. But all's well that ends well. No fatalities as far as I saw. But some people are distressed today. I know that the candidates, because they're no longer councillors, rallied themselves and went to a lot of people yesterday. Got them tarpaulins, mattresses, food, you name it. They pitched in and did a pretty good job in the city yesterday in terms of bringing relief. I'm sure that replicated itself all over, but I can speak for those in Port of Spain because I'm in that chat, so aware of what was going on. But it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, so. It was pretty bad. So all those that got flooded out, lost their roofs. I hope everything works out for you guys. Yeah, but it was just horrible. It was just
well, I have a series of videos starting with this one.
Tons of videos.
This is Independence Square.
Yeah, they always floods at the bottom of Edward Street, eh?
But what freaked me out about this? Look at this video. Keep looking at the video. And it was a little off for me. It was very off for me to see this because there's a woman and a man pushing their car just about in front of you in the truss there. And is that the police car that sailed past and didn't stop and help? There it is.
Probably, yeah, it is.
Yep.
How?
Yep.
How though?
It's none of their business.
No, but how?
Because they're thinking it's not. They have nothing to do with that. They don't know about protecting.
What is the police trying to make a police service motto?
Protect and save.
With pride.
To protect and save, right?
Yeah.
So how do you see people stranded in cars and just drive past?
You know what that video? You know that video? Your prison officer was shot in front of his child and the police vehicle passed by too.
Yep. I don't know. That struck me as very weird. That's the first thing I noticed in that video. I said, oh my God, these people stranded and
that's the first thing I noticed as well when I saw it.
And the police car just sailed past. How do you tell me? Make it make sense. There's a lot of flooding there. But I roundabout. Around West River. Just Charlotte Street, but roundabout around West River. I have more.
Digomart.
That's what my car looked like yesterday.
Yeah. A paddle boat could go through. Maybe you could.
And that was Citygate.
There was a video though, I don't know it, where the guys and them were complaining about the corporation as they were cleaning out hundreds, if not thousands, of plastic bottles out of a drain.
Yeah.
Now, the corporation didn't throw the plastic bottles in the drain, eh?
No,
Well,
and people and their littering ways like to blame the authorities and the government and the corporation.
Yeah.
And then they throw the fridge on the stove and they drop plastic. And they always, it's only one plastic bottle I drop. Well, if 50,000 people drop one plastic bottle, what do you think happens?
Exactly. I watched that video with amazement and I listened to the ignorance of people, you know?
I just sent Paul the roofs flying off. This is the Digger Martin River. I'm sending the Paul again here.
Oh, yes.
In front of the credit union, the police credit union was flooded as well. Under the Chaguanas flyover, there was flooding.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
They were actually considering cancelling the sitting of the Senate yesterday because parliamentarians just couldn't get out from where they were.
Okay.
I mean, the rains kind of subsided after a while, just after 2, 3 o'clock. But I mean, I was in the office and I didn't even realize it was raining that heavily. As Avril and Gregory came and said, it's like white rain outside.
And the temperature just dropped.
So it's like, I'm saying, what do you mean storm like rain? They said yes. When I went outside, I mean,
we were in the middle of our driveway at the office, and the wind, we were getting wet.
Yeah,
with all the wind passing through and carrying the water.
That office did have the country under yellow alert, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and they did say to expect some really heavy rains and high winds.
Yeah.
So,
good morning, Edwin Marshall, Ingrid Adams. Scary rain in Santa Cruz, and it was misty. Last night had a lot of mist. Edwin Marshall, good morning. The police didn't have on their water boots. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Edwin. Yeah, maybe that's it. Didn't want to get a uniform wet. And then there was horrendous traffic.
I got sight of a pole.
The only excuse I could give, the only thing, because you can't see inside most police vehicles now, it might have been actually a policewoman. That's the only thing I think about.
I have never seen, and I know they will probably have it happens, but I have actually never seen a police car driven by a woman with a policewoman alone in the car.
I've never seen that.
I've seen with policewomen. I've seen
policewomen driving, but they had never been alone in the car.
Right, but so I've seen policewomen with other policewomen in a car.
Yeah, but they've never been alone. I've seen policemen driving cars alone. I've never seen a policewoman in a car driving alone.
Yeah, but I've seen that too. I've seen that too. You
know, and I think if I'm not mistaken, all officers are trained the same. If it was a policewoman alone in the car, she should have also stopped and offered assistance.
Of course.
So I don't think gender is an issue there, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any less is expected of a policewoman than is expected of a policeman.
A policewoman going in floodwaters?
Why not?
In uniform? Sorry.
No, but why not? Tell me why not. Explain to me why not.
I hear any why not, but I ain't seeing that happening.
Well, that's the point. I don't expect anything less of a policewoman than I expect of a policeman in that kind of circumstance. I don't. They all train the same. They all they are treated equally, or they should be treated equally anyway. They have a woman at the helm of the police service for the first time, so I don't understand. I don't buy that because of the policewoman she couldn't stop.
I'm not making an excuse.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying I don't think there should be any difference because you said maybe it's a policewoman driving the car, which seemed to be some sort of potential reason. So I don't see any difference.
That's the only thing I could think of. I can't imagine a jeep load of policemen driving by and not stopping. It's just difficult for me to imagine. You know? But then why are we surprised if almost similar circumstances where somebody was shot and killed in the street and running for for help, and a police vehicle drove by. We saw that video also. You know, so police officers, what can I say? Happy birthday to Winford James and Oronde. Oronde listens to us on a morning. Happy birthday, Oronde. I don't know if Winford James listens. He has not said a word for a while about that situation in Tobago. He's been very... Maybe he's been talking and we have not been carrying it. But Winford James has remained very quiet amidst all the situations.
I think he and quite a few people commented on the Father Augusta issue recently.
Okay, I haven't seen it or read it anyway.
Yeah. I got sight of a poll done in the middle of June, and I don't have permission to share all the information. What I will say is the poll, and I don't have details that will put the poll in context. I don't have sample size, I don't have demographic spread, gender, etc. But the poll put the PNM ahead in the local government election. You know, and the four entities that featured are in the poll in terms of the questions asked about who you will vote for, I think was the question, is of course Dr. Roddy, the PNM, Mrs. Pasabi Sessa second, Guy Griffith followed by PP. I don't want to share any more information unless I get permission to share it, you know.
Well, Guy Griffith is now part of the UNC. Part of the UNC.
Well, yeah. Well, he's not part of the UNC. The NTA has an accommodation with the UNC. There's a difference.
The NTA ain't going to win one single seat. The UNC.
Well, I don't. Well, maybe you can forget the EBC and give us the results of the poll now.
Right.
The government election now, or we could just forget going to the poll and let one. They'll tell us who's going to win, and we can move on.
Well, let me do that now. I'm going to do that now.
Please do.
PNM will win the majority.
Wait, I'm going to get a drum roll. I'm going to get a drum roll. Wait. Because this is important for the country. Because I mean, what's the point of going to local government election when we can get the results somewhere else?
Right.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I get it. Right.
People don't even bother to go to the poll. Forget August 14th when they're going to give us the results of the local government election.
Well, you saying forget 14. I am going to be encouraging people to go and
vote. The results. So what are we going to the poll for?
So PNM is going to win the majority of the seats. The UNC will win the second majority of the second most of the seats. The PDP, the NTA, the MND, who else? Did I miss anybody? The PDP, they are going to win none. Absolutely none.
Steve, remember this, right?
I can't say if they will all lose the deposits, but they're not going to win any.
6/23 on Wednesday, the 28th of June. And Wendell Stevens has decreed that the PNM, but we know the PNM and the NC will win the majority of seats. We are aware of that. Right. But there will be not a single victory for neither the NTA, the PDP, the PEP, or any other of the independent candidates that the EDC has outlined. Is that what you're saying?
You see that Calypso Steve can play every day from now on. Not a damn seat for them.
No.
The doctor.
And I hope he doesn't.
Right?
I pray to God he doesn't play it again.
Why?
No. Unless he intends to play songs some other parties endorsing them also.
But there are no other songs from other parties.
Yeah, there are other songs.
I don't know that is true.
But he can play them. I wouldn't object. But let me tell you this.
We're playing none.
You know, I didn't get my chance. I started to talk and I didn't get my chance to talk. The NTA, Gary Griffith, rejoining the UNC. That is like, all right, let me describe it. You know when a dog is sick, right? And Steve Khan you both had dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do? They go out and they eat the grass, right? But the grass is like medication for them, right? They will eat on some grass in the yard. And then they will throw up that grass. And in some instances, you actually see that dog eat back that grass that they threw up. I don't know if you all have seen it. I've seen
never seen that one. A
Huh?
dog would eat grass. A dog or a cat would eat grass. If they're not feeling well, they know which grass to go and eat. And yes, they would eventually throw up. It is their form of regurgitating.
Right.
But, don't know. I just tell them, make them feel better, and then they'll just go back. I don't know about
Right.
Okay, I've never seen that.
On the rare occasion, that dog will actually eat back that vomit. On the rare occasion. On the rare occasion. Right? You see what Gary Griffith is doing to himself will be so destructive. It'll be worse than anything anybody else ever say about him. Rejoining a UNC who kicked him out, one, who ain't supported him when he was becoming commissioner of police, and had nothing good to say about him, but all of a sudden now want to use smaller parties to endorse their candidates because that's what they want to know. You know, the UNC people are not going to vote for NTA candidates in the area. The NTA people will vote for UNC candidates though, because they feel that they stand a chance. You understand? And all the UNC is going to do is use MND and nobody. I don't know how MND come in that. Gavin Nicholas had nobody with him. So I don't know how he managed to be part of that coalition. He obviously trying to wiggle his way through to high office again, hoping that the spills over into a general election. The ILP ain't had nobody either. Jack Warner is a spent force. Okay? Jack Warner not even saying anything. So who's leading the ILP in this charge? I don't even know. So to announce to us that the UNC is now linked with the NTA, who we know he have some followers, MND was none, ILP was none. How is that to convince the public, the people who, they don't want to convince the UNC people, and they will not convince the PNM people. So the people they're looking to convince are the people who generally support any political party until the election come or until they are so convinced, right? So those are the people they're looking to support. You to convince. And you trying to convince them that this is a coalition, that this is a coming together, that this is an alliance. You don't want to use the word coalition because you failed in 86. You know how it failed in 2010, right? You know the failures of a coalition government in Trinidad and Tobago. Use the word coalition. You're playing smart with foolishness now to try to convince people that this is just a coming together to restore what? All because of hate. One man. One man. So in other words, I heard Gary said yesterday, you know, he had no problem with the PNM, you know. Yesterday. He have no problem with the PNM. But he have a problem with Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley, the same man who you didn't have a problem with when he supported you for commitments. Huh? You didn't have a problem with him then. But all of a sudden, you have a problem with him because he didn't pledge same support the next time around. Something wrong with human beings in this place, you know. And we are supposed to be so convinced now that we'll join with Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, who didn't support you, to get rid of Keith Rowley, who did it.
And that was a paid political announcement.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I don't stop all from.
What I want to see in this election is what they can do for me. Now, come out. Don't tell me come out and vote. Don't tell me vote this and don't tell me vote that. Tell me how you can better my community and myself. Bottom line, that is how I think about it. How are you going to help me and my community?
Well, the
UNC you start when we come out and vote for PNM and vote for UNC, that is the same election campaign that has been done since the beginning of time in Trinidad and Tobago.
The UNC has an ad out that vote against the PNM to get rid of Fitzgerald Hines. What Fitzgerald Hines had to do with local government?
Well, Fitzgerald Hines would be the man pretty much in charge of our security forces. The first thing on people's lips is crime.
He is the Minister of National
Security. Well, that is what. Will you just answer?
What does that have to do with government? Elections.
Crime, Wendell.
Right, but what does getting rid of Fitzgerald Hines?
Maybe to put somebody who they think would be more adequate for the position to reduce crime. I don't know.
So is this a paid political announcement?
For who?
Well, I was asking you. You dubbed my presentation just now as a paid political announcement.
The representation in Barataria is none.
Talk about local government.
That is local government. The representation in local government in Barataria is none.
Kimberly Small?
I have not seen Kimberly Small.
Kimberly Small is better councillors in that South Lavender Regional Corporation.
No, pal. I live in that area. No way. When we had a water issue during the Christmas time, I got more traction dealing with people to get rectified. All Kimberly Small said was, I'll write them a letter.
But Steve Khan, that's not fair to Kimberly Small.
I am telling you, I'm living in the area, and that is what happened. It's not fair, not fair.
I'm telling you, we on the Power Breakfast Show, I'm not a council either. We get more water issues for people than anybody else. So
I got more traction and I got it rectified all by myself.
Kimberly Small have no direct WASA that we have.
And you see, that is the problem.
We have more links to WASA than I'm sure most local governments.
And that is the problem. As a councillor, you should have your links, just like how I have my links to when Andrew Lane need a street light fixed, when a water situation or water leak, the same contact.
What you're saying is not making any sense. Yeah, I hear why it's not making any sense.
Why?
And Wendell is right. And Wendell is right. Because a councillor doesn't necessarily have this sway with a minister of public utilities. What are you suggesting? And you know how the politics. Can I finish?
Go ahead.
If Kimberly Small is not, and this is the unfortunate thing about her politics, even if she is a member of the ruling party representing the corporation, that doesn't necessarily mean she has the ear of a minister. And if she's not a member of the party that's ruling the country, it's even more difficult in some circumstances. So to expect every councillor in every one of the 141 areas to have a link to the minister is a ridiculous proposition. Am I wrong, Wendell?
No, you're not wrong.
Well, let me tell you.
You are suggesting that because she's a councillor, she must have a link to the minister or some.
Let me continue now. Let me continue now. All the issues that I brought up, I did not have to get the minister involved. All. It's just people at WASA. Who's in charge of that? Do you have a telephone number or a name? And that's it. And I introduced myself. I didn't even say where I was working. And I just introduced myself. They eventually found out. But that, Steve, to me,
most local government people do that too. They try to make those connections.
In many instances, they don't have the profile or the leverage to get those things done because WASA and those things are not directly in the purview of the local government bodies or the councillors. Because if you expect that of Kimberly Small, you have to expect that of every one of the 140 other councillors or local government persons. Is that a practical proposition?
Yes.
You're just saying it because you want to make a point, but that doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm just making I do more for my area because of the people that I have met.
Maybe you have a higher profile than your councillor. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to get stuff done. She should be able to fix a WASA problem because she's a councillor is to me is unreasonable.
It shouldn't be that way.
Well, you're saying what it shouldn't be and what is in a practical sense.
In a practical sense.
Wendell was part of the Port of Spring Corporation 4 years. Wendell advocated for fixing the roads in Port of Spain 4 years. Knowing people in high places and couldn't get a lot of stuff done. And Wendell has a high profile and knows the Prime Minister and knows most of the ministers, if not all. And he couldn't get it done. So what about Kimberly Small? Is that a practical proposition?
That's a fact. And I probably got more done because of my media personality than
because of your profile. Because of your profile.
Yeah.
So what Steve is suggesting, while I think idealistically it should work, that is not the practical situation for most counselors. They don't have that kind of leverage. They just don't.
They don't.
They need to.
Particularly for situations like WASA and utilities and major road fixing, which is not directly under the purview of the regional bodies.
No.
So what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
I understand what you're saying, you know. I do. It's just I have to, but you see, Kimberley Small have a huge area. I just have a little block to deal with.
So now you're softening it up, right?
No, I'm just saying.
And
let me
your
finish.
complaint is one of probably hundreds that Kimberley Small or any other counselor gets.
Let me finish. My neighbor has been trying to get a hold of Kimberley Small, unable to do that. Another neighbor was able to get it. That's how I know that she sent letters. In my eye, we should be seeing the counselor for the area. In the few streets that I traveled through in Barataria, they have been deplorable. And there've been no sort of, what are they looking for? Can't think of it.
But Steve, didn't you just neighbors was able to get in touch with her?
I didn't get in touch with her. My neighbor did.
Right. But yeah,
and to get the problem done was that the outcome of it was, well, we sent a letter to WASA and it just went up and never landed. And then I called somebody I know in WASA and they said, this is the person you have to deal with. And then that person told me, well, this is the person you have to deal with. And I got onto that person and they dealt with it.
Okay. So you think Kimberley Small didn't try anything at all?
I said she wrote a letter. But the bottom line is that counselors need to help the people in their community.
As far as they can, they do. And I'm speaking for all counselors here, whether PNM or UNC.
Hey, I'm not talking no party here. I'm just talking in general when it comes to counselors.
I'm speaking for all counselors because a lot of time people feel when they listen to me that I'm speaking only on behalf of the PNM. Local community is a lot closer than people think. PNM and UNC people get along a lot better at that local level because they understand the challenges that they all have had. It's not about the politics at that level. It's about serving the community that you belong to. You want to see improve. And it's been difficult. It has been difficult. Which is why let me tell PNM something. PNM, listen to me good. You see this reform that has been promised by all governments over the years for the longest while. Since I came in there 24 years ago, reform is on the table, right? Better get it done this time, you know, because I don't know how you could talk reform again, not do it, and then go to a general election 2 years later. You understand? So you better get it done this time. Because on the UNC platform, they're saying, that ain't happening, and well, it better happen. That's the advice I want to give to the PNM this morning. That reform better happen. I listened to Minister Al-Rawi yesterday too with you. It better happen. No, Al-Rawi was on Monday with us. Yes.
Paul, what was your presentation yesterday about?
What presentation?
Excuse me?
Your presentation yesterday. Paul, your presentation was good in the Senate yesterday.
It was on democracy.
Okay.
Yeah. So we go as I said, this accommodation, Gary will have a lot of questions to answer during this election campaign. I wish him all he sent people in St. James that could spend almost 2 hours trying to get nominated on Monday because they had everything, including one of the candidates didn't even have an ID card. You understand? Or they couldn't his name when we checked it, not even on the list in the CP. So I wish them luck with that one. And I know the young man, he's from the Queen's Park Oval himself. And he was a former police officer. I don't know. I didn't even know he was interested in politics, but maybe he is. you know, but he's not even from the area. They send somebody from Sealer. I mean, what is really going on? What really going on with some of these political parties?
So good morning. At 20 before 7 o'clock. Lots of floods and really bad weather. We hope you're dry. This is Independence Square yesterday.
Just someone just now there, Paul.
This is like, and this is in no timer.
Yeah, wait for the police car to pass. Whoosh. Wait, we'll see. Did it pass already? Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. There's the no, that's not it. Oh, there's the police car. Yeah, and I get him my boots wet.
That's just a look at some areas in North Trinidad yesterday. Yeah. There were also floods in parts of Central and South Trinidad, and a roof of an HTC apartment complex was blown off. And I don't know. I hope we get an update at 7 a.m. on what the residents are supposed to do. I know that the people on the ground.
That was HTC a lot of, and that had to affect like 5 or 6 units, I would assume. Going across, it was a lot. I was shocked.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 2 or 3 or 4. It was like a good bit. But that
everybody in top floor would have been affected at least.
Yeah.
With the top 2 floors.
It was a 3-story building.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
A total of 373 candidates from 10 political parties, including 6 independent candidates, will be contesting the LGE on August 14th. PNM is the only party that is fielding in 141 electoral districts.
And no surprise there. PNM has consistently fielded a candidate in every single district in Trinidad and every single district. I even find that an amazing feat, because there are some people, there are some districts that you know you're not going to win. But guess what? It doesn't stop the person from coming forward to offering themselves. It does not stop the screening process. It chooses that person and their supporters. It doesn't. Because you know why? The PNM in some of these areas, if you notice, they may not win a seat, but they call them on. And that is the importance of ensuring that there's representation in all these districts. The other parties just don't see that logic at all. Understand? For the PNM, no councillor in Pinal DB, but guess what? An alderman. No councillor Tabakita Paro, but guess what? They have an alderman there. You understand? 1-2 councillors in Chaguanas, but they have an alderman also.
Well, I think that winning is not the only thing. If someone has offered themselves as a candidate, even if they don't win, I think it only augurs well if you stay with the community and serve, even through the time when you were not elected, to prove to the community at some level that you are willing to serve them.
Yes.
And next time around, maybe they will say, well, you know, this person wasn't even elected last time, but they gave me more service than the person who was elected. So maybe I'll give them a chance, even in the hardcore areas of both parties.
And you're absolutely right about that. So much so that in Patrick Manning, when Patrick Manning was alive, God rest his soul, and he political leader in opposition, when the seats that the PNM lost, he kept those people as part of the legislative meetings and called them honorary councillors. That's what he did. So the councillors in those meetings and the honorary councillors were the people who would have come but didn't win.
I think it should work that way for any party, and if if there's an area that someone offered themselves up for service, no matter what party they represented, and they didn't win, and you disappear after the elections, don't come remind me again.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Don't. Because
Yeah.
the people who actually generally who have been successful are people who would have been on the ground before offering themselves anyway. Those are people who are generally more successful in areas. They're known for their work in the area even without any office at all.
Yeah.
Or any position. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, countdown is on. I think the PNM has a meeting tomorrow night in St. James. I think the UNC also has a meeting before the end of the week. And we will see how it goes moving forward. The bell has rung.
Yep. We have what, a month, 6 weeks?
Where's the song, Wendell?
De l'amour.
It burning in your head from truck passing, yes, for years. Let me tell you.
De l'amour tune.
Burning in your head from truck passing for years. Let me tell you.
You coming.
I wouldn't like the original song, but I don't know the Lamo version that well, but I know the Power version.
Yeah. The Lamo version started, "Whoa, PNM coming."
I'm not that familiar with that version, sir.
It's such a great, infectious tune.
All right, 6:46. Don't get carried away. Let's go to the newspapers. Think of a question.
Right. I do have.
Let me start with The Guardian, and it's June 28th. The Guardian trending stories: UNC, NTA Alliance can give PNM an edge, so says a political scientist. NICON blames Massey for death of worker at plant. Gary says new coalition. Sorry,
the first news report you gave, we will poll that. The issue about the UNC NTA Alliance, will it give the PNM the edge?
You jumped in that quickly, boy.
Yeah, man.
Gary says new coalition will annihilate PM Rowley. The worst we've seen in years, talking about flooding due to the heavy rains yesterday. Senior cop at town meeting, Dinsley residents making themselves vulnerable to home invasions. Rain and wind batter parts of Trinidad. Scary moments for motorists stuck in flood waters and flooded streets. Sad news, an 18-year-old drowns in Valencia. Motorcyclist dies after crash at Waterfield racing circuit. And heavy rains leave many stranded. Let's move now to the news day for today. Wind rips off roof at HDC block, 16 families at risk. UNHCR commends government's work on refugee policy. Princestown bartender held up and robbed. Foreign Minister new bank account for embassy in Belgium by July. Paria records 257 million in profits. Man guilty of killing ex-wife sentenced to hang, and Trumacak residents lose belongings after roof blows off apartment building. Let's move to the Express for today now. EBC, 373 to face off in August 14th poll. Battle for Port of Spain. The capital city of Port of Spain will be the battleground for the local government elections, with 3 dozen candidates vying for votes. Richards, crimes impacting our freedoms. There's one of them people in the Senate. Rains wreak havoc. Martinez out. As potential Mayor Wendell indicated that earlier on the week. And 30,000 fined for guns and ammo. Blue Basin River takes teenagers' lives. So those are trending stories in your Guardian, your Express, and your Newsday. For today, Wednesday, the 20th of June, 2023. Let me go back to the story, Wendell, so I can give them more context, right?
Yeah.
Right. Where's the story? What did I read first? The Guardian. Okay, here we go. Right. So I think it's an expose by Dr. Hamid Ghani, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is.
Oh.
Political scientist Professor Hamid Ghani says, even though the United National Congress and National Transformation Alliance are not contesting against each other on the ground in respect to councillors, their aldermen will be. He was speaking on CNC3 last evening. He said it's too soon to call a winner in the election or if the UNC Alliance will bear fruit. But he does see trouble with the arrangement. He's a Guardian Media's analyst for the local government elections. He said, fighting alone, the UNC was able to win an alderman post in Arima in 2019, despite losing 7 seats there. But by teaming up with the NTA, it's now a split between the NTA and the UNC because of the way the aldermen are chosen. Aldermen are chosen after the votes are counted for the councillors in election night. Then all the votes that have been cast in that corporation for all the parties that are contested are counted, and a proportional representation formula is used to decide how many of the 4 aldermen each of the parties will take. Correct, Randall?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yanni said by having a seat-splitting arrangement, it diminishes the actual number of votes that the NTA and the UNC can earn toward the allocation of aldermen. This can give the PNM an edge. So this is the context for our question this morning. Do you agree with Professor Hamid Ghani that the NTA-UNC alliance can give PNM the edge? Is that the question you were suggesting, Randall?
That's the question, Paul.
Right. So the question this morning, you see how cooperative I am this morning?
You are very. You're very.
Sometimes I just decide to let you have your way.
No,
if you only had that in your marriages. So the question this morning, but you need to let other people have their way sometimes, so that would be make for a more successful union of any kind.
I do that on Tuesday and Tuesday.
Sorry?
I do that on Tuesday and Tuesday.
True, it's a different formula, but it is that the UNC NTA alliance
will give PNM the edge in the local government.
May give PNM the edge in the upcoming LGE, right?
Yes.
In the LGE 2023. So that's our question this morning. Do you agree that that the UNC-NT alliance may give the PNM the edge in the local government election 2023? Yes or no? Start dialing and texting right now. You're taking notes, right, Wendell?
Yes, I am.
So the morning poll is, do you agree with Professor Hamid Ghani that the NTA-UNC alliance may give the PNM the edge in the local government election 2023? Of course, I'm sure the UNC and the NTA think it will give them the edge, but that's not the position of Professor Hamid Ghani.
Yeah.
So that's our question this morning. You can start dialing right now, 222-TALK, 222-8255, sorry, 612-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. You can also send the votes via the YouTube and Facebook posting platforms.
Yeah. Do you agree that the UNC-NT alliance may give PNM the edge in the local government election? That's our poll. Let's grab our first caller here. Good morning.
My answer is I believe him 100%.
That's a yes.
So that's a yes. All right. Thank you so much. Good morning to Trini Jam, Mr. Carapo. Mr. Carapo says yes, it will. Wendy Ann says yes, yes, yes. GB says yes to the poll. Miss Ingrid says, where's Richard? Okay. DJ Sleepy says no. Stretch says yes. Wayne says in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada says yes. Rena Boodoo Jennings says yes, I do. On video, let's see. Let me scroll up here. Oop, my mouse went to sleep. I'm so jealous. Good morning, DS Lip Celeste. Frank Edwards. Keith Franco. Donna Lee Ling, good morning to you. Edwin Alyong says no. Kazim Mohammed says yes. Mogain says yes. Kenny in Harlem. Oh, Kenny, you're on YouTube now. All righty. Thank you. Welcome. He says yes. Charmaine Bernard says yes, yes, yes. Trev in Arima says yes. All right. Do you agree that the UNC-NTA alliance may give PNM the edge in the local government elections, which is on August 14th? All right. We're pretty much 6 weeks away. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I said yes.
All righty. Thank you. All right. 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's our numbers directly into our studio. Alan Reese. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Alan Reese. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
Morning.
So frustrating as usual, so I have to call. Yes.
All right,
Morning, Carol.
All right, Carol here.
Okay.
Okay, Carol here. Carol again. Miss Ingrid, my answer to the poll is no, I do not agree. Thank you, Miss Ingrid. All right, 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Do you agree that the UNC-NTA alliance may give PNM the edge in the local government elections? Coming up August 14th. All right. Yeah, that's our poll. You have 3.5 minutes to vote. So you can do that right now. Give us a call. Send us a message via our mobile platform or our website or on our streaming platforms like YouTube. Right? You can do that.
Where's Mr. Pinal this morning? Where's Big Guy? Where's Mr. Dinsley? Where's Mr. Chin? Come on, call in and give us your vote now.
Yeah. All right. Leonard Naipaul. Morning, Leonard. I'm going to say yes. Thank you, Leonard. Yeah.
Steve, you haven't been asking for a poll.
Somebody go start singing that, and because of that, I endorse it. You know that, right? Somebody could jump out himself and say he's singing that, so he endorse it.
This is one time I will be coming to your stride. I came to your strident defense when Kamala Prasad Bissessa insulted you all and called all you eat your food. I came to your defense, and I'll come to your defense again this time.
Is that because I asked somebody Monday if you should be mayor of Port of Spain?
Listen, I tell all you, I swear all you have it against me, you know. All you have it.
I think you'll be the next mayor of Port of Spain.
No, I won't. I can tell you.
You should be, though. You really should be.
Well, should be and will be.
Imagine Steve, we have a mayor partner. Imagine that.
Should be and will be.
Let me tell you something. Imagine we have a mayor partner. Imagine we have a mayor partner. Imagine we could go and chill out and knock two glass in the office of the mayor of Port of Spain.
Of course.
We have
you can't you have to divest your shares in Rumbox after that, partner.
Wendell, I want to throw a fet in Woodford Square. Just sign that off of me there. All right.
You're done inciting corruption already and favoritism and partisan. That's the first thing always do. Want to use office for string. That's the first thing always do in Trinidad and Tobago. Compromise in an office before you even get it.
But Wendell, I park my car here and get wrecked. What going on there, man?
Paul, one or two has had their way in Woodford Square for all the years that I've been there.
Not only Paul, one or two. We go through the normal registered process.
Yes, you do.
Like everybody else.
Let's get back to our poll, gentlemen. Trinity Jam says no to the poll.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Trinity. Trinity Jam says, I'll read what she says. She says, really not satisfied with any of these political parties' representation in this matter. UNC is disappointing in representation in this area. What area is that again, Trinity Jam? I can't remember what area you're in. Kazim Mohammed, I endorse Wendell as mayor. Yep. Long Islander says yes. All right. We pretty much wrapping up here now. Our poll is going to stay on our website and our mobile app, and we'll give you the final results come tomorrow morning. Just before we give you your results. Okay. And we getting ready for our news. Evie should be running in, but I got a call coming through, so let me grab it by the time. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Wendell, Dr. Paul, Richards, and Steve.
Morning.
My answer to the poll is that I agree with Dr. Hamigani. So, yes.
You do.
Is that
All right.
Katia?
Thank you.
Yes, Wendell, it's
Hi,
Katia.
morning, Katia.
Morning, my dear Rich. Morning.
Thank you. All right.
I don't know how he's know these voices. Thanks, Katia.
I'm pretty good at voices.
Yeah, you are indeed. All right, let's get into our major news. Evie is. Thank you, Evie.
Morning, Avril.
Hold on, Paul talking to you.
I can't hear.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Morning, Avril. I'm not fasting today, so you know what to get for me.
Yes, sire.
Did he not say he was
What
going to
was
buy
that?
us roti?
He did say he was going to buy us roti. I'm
Yeah.
still waiting. I don't know when
On
that's going to
Friday.
Yeah, that will never happen. That will never
On
happen.
Friday.
Repeat something that for me.
Listen to me. I have faith in Dr. Paul Richards. He will buy that roti. Yeah?
On Friday.
Just know it's hot chop roti buying,
You know, people get hype when you hear food.
I don't mind. I
News
like
is next.
Your short news is next. You all don't want to yap a little more?
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Powerful midday thunderstorms across the country caused heavy flash flooding. A total of 373 candidates from 10 political parties, including 6 independent candidates, will be contesting the upcoming local government elections. No need for a forensic investigation into this country's financial operations in Belgium. And protests and unrest erupt in Paris overnight after police shoot dead a 17-year-old who failed to stop when ordered by traffic police. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. Powerful midday thunderstorms across the country yesterday caused heavy flash flooding in North, Central, and South Trinidad, fallen trees, and traffic jams across the country. However, for 16 families, the danger was more acute after high winds ripped the roof off their Housing Development Corporation apartment complex in Chumakak, Laventil. HDC's Managing Director, J. Sal McFarlane, along with a Success Chumakak Councillor Adana Griffith-Gordon, are said to be assisting residents. However, there is no word yet as to if and where residents will be temporarily housed until repairs to the building are complete. Meanwhile, the country remains under a yellow level adverse weather alert until midday today. A total of 373 candidates from 10 political parties, including 6 independent candidates, will be contesting the upcoming local government elections on August 14th. This was confirmed by the Elections and Boundaries Commission yesterday, following Monday's nomination day process, where candidates filed their nomination papers to contest the elections. The elections involve 141 electoral areas in the 14 corporation districts across Trinidad. The EBC yesterday revealed that the People's National Movement is the only political party with candidates in all 141 electoral districts. Trinidad and Tobago has complied with all of the requirements of the Financial Action Task Force, which resulted in the organization delisting this country in August 2020. FATF is the international standard-setting entity on anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism. Minister of Trade and Industry Paula Gopiskun said it is a false premise to state the closure of the bank account of the embassy in Belgium in May 2023 was part of the European Union's measures to mitigate money laundering risks. As a result of new ranking protocols in Belgium, many embassies and foreign missions have been adversely affected and have been required their existing bank accounts to make new banking arrangements. Minister Gopi Skun said Trinidad and Tobago is not unique in its current challenges, which are expected to be temporary and short-term in duration.
In particular, recognizing the banking challenges faced by foreign missions, the Federal Public Service, Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Development Corporation of the Kingdom of Belgium, which is the Belgian Foreign Ministry, in March 2023, informed that the Law on Basic Banking Services, which is Law of November 8, 2020, as revised on September 25, 2022, was amended to allow diplomatic and consular missions to open bank accounts to make payments under specific conditions as provided for in the Royal Decree on Implementation.
The minister said there is no need for a forensic investigation into the embassy's financial operations, and no such investigation has been or will be launched as a result of this issue.
The embassy is in a very advanced stage of transitioning to another bank account with BNP Paribas Fortis, which has been designated to open an account with the embassy by the federal authorities in Belgium. The embassy has since fulfilled requests from the bank by completing the client legal entity documentation, provided the specimen signatures of the signatories to the account, completed customer relationship and agreements of each signatory to the account, verification of identification cards, and an online interview with a representative of the bank.
The police service will provide some level of coverage until the Pradial Larceny unit at Carson Field, Chaguanas is fully staffed and provided with the necessary equipment. Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, Avinash Singh, said the ministry is 85% complete in the recruitment process of inspectors, sergeants, and corporals, and they will be engaged in the coming weeks. Minister Singh provided the update to the Senate on Tuesday, where he was asked to provide an update on the unit's urgent need to provide assistance to a livestock farmer whose animals were stolen from his farm, located a few meters from its offices at Carson Field, Chaguanas. It was indicated that the training will last 6 weeks and will be completed by the end of August 2023.
And, Mr. President, they are expected to be engaged in the coming weeks. Constables, successful candidates will now be entering into training component, which will be conducted for a duration of 6 weeks and is expected to be completed by the end of August. Mr. President, I would also go a step further and indicate that right here in this August chamber, I would have answered questions similar to this nature, and we gave the assurance that the Pradial Larceny Squad is currently reviewing its policies and operational practices.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Protests and unrest erupted in the Paris region overnight after police shot dead a 17-year-old who failed to stop when ordered to by traffic police. The teenager, named as Niall M., died of bullet wounds in the chest despite help from emergency services. The officer accused of shooting him has been detained on homicide charges. The shooting triggered a series of protests on Tuesday night, with 31 people arrested following the disorder. Niall M. is the second person this year in France to have been killed in a police shooting during a traffic stop. Last year, a record 13 people died in this way. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy conditions are expected with scattered showers occurring. There's a high chance of occasional heavy showers and thunderstorms mainly during the morning to early afternoon. Some cloudiness will linger overnight with brief showers at times. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding may occur near heavy showers and thunderstorms. There is a yellow level adverse weather alert that remains in effect until 12 noon today. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at both localities is 26 degrees Celsius. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, powerful midday thunderstorms across the country cause heavy flash flooding. A total of 373 candidates from 10 political parties, including 6 independent candidates, will be contesting the upcoming local government elections. No need for forensics investigation into this country's financial operations in Belgium, and protests and unrest erupt in the Paris region overnight after police shoot dead a 17-year-old who failed to stop when ordered by traffic police. I'm Avril Sintilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you, Pablo. Of course, thank you, Avi, for our major news. You can join Avi again coming up at 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly, let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Let's start down San Fernando. San Fernando is extremely nothing really to tell you about. Just exiting out of San Fernando to Ruba Link Road. You got some traffic there heading towards Naprima Mayara Road. But heading to the roundabout, we got nothing really to tell you about on the overpass. As you head northbound, got a little traffic by Claxton Bay on the southern main road. Rivulet Road is heavy as you head towards Point Lisas. Volume again from Chase Village to Sugargonas. And whoa. Well, I leave that. And after halfway through from Monroe Road to the Canyon River is where your traffic is going to start. Kelly Village also got it from Piaco towards Yui, and then Yui in the Port of Spain. You've got some traffic. Eastern Main Road a bit busy as well, going through Macoya and Page, and of course from Mount Hope. It's slow going towards the 6th Avenue, and then towards Mova Junction. You got some traffic going up Lady Young Road. Let's check Maraval. Yep, nothing changed there. A lot of traffic coming down, and traffic from Diego Martin as you go. As you head out. All right, so that's a quick traffic update for you. All right, let's check on our morning poll. Let's see if I got anything. Good morning to Trini in Boston. Good morning to you. Una Antoine says yes. Good morning to Vaughn Drayton. Dave Gosine says yes. Right. Okay, so that's it. I see one popped up here. What is this? No. Okay. All right. So let's get the final results. Well, not the final for now.
All right. Our vote this morning, our poll this morning was: do you agree that the UNC-NT Alliance may give PNM the edge in local government elections 2023, as opined by Professor Hamid? And 18 people voted yes, 4 voted no. 18 voted yes, 4 voted no. All right, that's it there. I'm now reading the article about Martinez out. Nothing wrong with me. I'm now seeing the article actually. Someone just sent it to me. Some interesting names have shown up on that. On that list, on the Port of Spain list, that is Brian Lewis. We've interviewed him many times, former president of the Olympic Committee. Chinua Allen, who is the chairman of East Port of Spain Development Committee. He's also chairman of Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, and nephew of Patrick Manning. Kareem Marcel, who's an attorney from the Beetham Estate. We all know Kareem. Former Alderman Wade Coker. Former Councillor Stephen Harper, former Councillor Young, and Aki Lordin, who was also a former councillor. Stacey Foster and Shivanan Diopasad is also on that list, along with myself. So it's an extensive Port of Spain, of which 4 will become aldermen. Former journalist and communications advisor Irene Medina is on the list of people in ARIMA, along with prominent businessman Baliram Maharaj, the current mayor Kagni Kasimir, former councillor St. Sylvia's Palmville as Clint Palmville, businessman Winston Boodoo, businesswoman Avi Chedi, and football manager and former player Derek King. So Arima also has an extensive list. In San Fernando, aldermen selected as aldermen are Patricia Lewis, who is the Assistant General Secretary of the PNM, and chairman of Rural Development Company. Dr. Ferry, who is the current deputy mayor. The current mayor is also on that list: Junior Rigello, Karen Woodley, Petal Jones, Daniel Dookie, former assistant, he's the assistant general secretary of the PNM, Vanilla Zamora, Curdell McIntosh, and Nicolette Steele. They are all in San Fernando. On the San Juan Lavantil list, the current chairman, Anthony Roberts, is there. Carl Celestin, who is the chairman of East. Richard Walcott, who is a former chairman also of the corporation. Edison McFarlane, Edric Murray, Keno Bishop, Keon Williams, who is a former councillor. Rhonda Rochard, Emrys Henry, Jeremy Innes, who is a doctor. He's a youth former head of the Youth League. Uric Maul, Joshua Choi, who was a candidate, who was a nominee as a candidate, and Marianne Fraser. They are all in San Juan Lavantil. In Tunapuna Piarco on the list are current chairman Kwesi Leon Roach, who is a former alderman, Colicia Hamilton, Lynette Joseph Tidd, Lou and Francis Blackman, names here, Dr. Matthias Wilford, Dennis Lord, who is a youth officer, Nikimo Samuel, Brandon Marcel, Daryl, Lionel Dakai, that name sounds familiar, I think as a cricketer or police officer, Ian Bahadur Singh, Michael Campbell, Kiefer Yes, Clayton Blackman, who is a senior lecturer at Costat. In point 14, the former mayor, Clyde James, that can't be Clyde James. Clyde Paul, he was former mayor, not Clyde James. I think they have that name wrong. Former councillor Brianna Fortune John, who is also a former Northman. Sheldon McKellar, Kevin Primus King, and Ronald Smart are the names in point 14. So that's an article in his papers by Rhea Tate. She has just covered some of the PNM municipalities here. All right? So that's it. Interesting names coming up, especially you know. See where that goes. They can only choose four at the end of the day if you get the majority of, if you get the proportional majority, of course. You know. All right, so our guest is online. I see already.
Mr. Joel Jack, it has been such a long time.
But I've seen Joel regularly lately, so it's not long.
You have?
Yeah. Morning.
Hi, good morning, Sir Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, we got Paul there. Well, of course, you know Wendell.
So, Paul, Wendell, morning. Thank you for having
me. Morning, Mr. Jack. How are you?
I am great. How are you doing?
Good. You're the Deputy Chief Secretary?
No, it's a former, sorry. That was the old link that was on. So, former.
Right. So, I'm just trying to correct it because it's going outside. So, I don't want nobody to come at you. That needs to be corrected, please.
No former. Yeah. But
it's up and being streamed with your name tag as Deputy Chief Secretary. So,
yeah,
it would have to be corrected on your side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen there.
Just concerned about the time, and so it was sent to me as this. So let me correct it.
Yeah.
Here.
Please do. Because somebody will take great offense with that. Right. Wonderful.
No, and you know there's no likeness or similarity with the current and the former. So yeah.
No comment. Thanks for joining us this morning. Of course, the Chief Secretary, Mr. Augustine, delivered his budget presentation on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, asking for 6.9% of the budget. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'm pulling from memory. Your first overall impression of Mr. Augustine's budget presentation.
Well, listening to the budget, Paul, and first of all, let me say good morning to all of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course to my family members who are logged on, and to all of those ardent fans who meet me from time to time from Power 102. Special good morning to you as well. But off the bat, Paul, to answer your question, listening to the budget, as all citizens, whether you're resident in Tobago or Trinidad, you should be concerned with respect to the overall management of the Tobago economy, the overall management of the resources given to the Tobago House of Assembly in terms to run the country. And you also should be more concerned with respect to the fact that Tobago should be making a greater contribution to national economic activity. And the budget, in a sense, does not spell that out or engender any confidence in for me as a concerned citizen and for persons looking on. We have seen over the past 17 going into 18 months or so an economy, the Tobago House of Assembly, that has been derailed primarily by the actions of this current sitting chief secretary and his team and his administration over the past 18 months or so. So for me, it's a cause for concern. It continues to show his disingenuity and the fact that he continues to attempt to mislead the people of Tobago and the country as a whole.
Now, it's interesting you say that the Tobago economy should be making a greater contribution to the Trinidad and Tobago economy, and that the Tobago economy has been derailed. From my memory, even when the PNM was in charge, it wasn't making a significant contribution, a more significant contribution. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And the people of Tobago were so disillusioned by the PNM running the THA that they voted the PDP in at the time in 14-1.
But let's start with the change in terms of the majority seats held by the, well, at the time, PDP, I'm not sure what they're calling, what iteration they are now. And we respected the democratic process, as we did in 2013 when Tobagonians voted overwhelmingly. There was a mantra and a team of Fix This in Tobago, where coming out of the pandemic and the challenges and the impact of the pandemic on the people, on the economy of Tobago, we were coming out of a challenging situation, and persons bought into the hype and the mantra of fixing it. But now we are seeing something to the contrary. We are seeing the decimation. We're seeing persons fired, over 1,000 persons summarily dismissed from the THA. We are seeing a high level of victimization. We are seeing the decimation of the private sector, the construction industry. And for the average, when I talk to the average business person, the story is the same. They're concerned. Business confidence is at an all-time low. The economy has declined year on year. Coming out of the pandemic, my initial estimates, conservative at the time, indicated that the economy to be declined by 15%. We put in the necessary measures, working with the central government, and the Tobago economy only declined 7% during the pandemic. Year on year thereafter, the Tobago economy grew by 4% coming out of the pandemic in 2001. And what are we seeing today? We are seeing a decline in the Tobago economy from 1.7 billion TT dollars to 1.65 billion TT dollars, and that was glossed over in the budget. Another thing we're seeing as well is a lack of accountability and transparency in operations of the Tobago House of Assembly. There was a section in my budget every year, Paul, where I reported to the people of Tobago the allocations that we received, any additional supplementation, the funding that we use from the contingency fund, what was that total, and some of the projects that we that was spent in last year's budget, it was missing. In this year's budget, it was also missing, and so the budget is really the void of
Mr. Jack, can I ask you to pause and probably log off and log back on? We're having a really bad connection and it's deteriorating. So we're just going to pause for a while and just ask you to log on and log back on, and hopefully you come back on with a better connection, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. While Mr. Jack does that, let me just remind you of morning poll, which you could go and vote in, and it was I did not. What did I do here?
We're still happening, suggesting it may not have been on Mr. Jack's end.
Yeah, it's happening from his end.
Okay. Well, we hope it's rectified. Anyway, so we're standing by for Joel Jack to log back in so we can continue our conversation on the Tobago budget, which was read on Monday by Chief Secretary Fali Augustine. All right. He's back. Welcome back. Let's try it now.
It's better now.
It's better now. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine. So another gap and a major gap in the budget statement was a section that I included at the start of the budget, where I accounted for all the resources that we mobilize within the financial year, the finances from the parliamentary appropriation, funding mobilized from the contingency resources, and how that money was spent. We also reported in that section, gave person an update on the Moody's rating, which has been thrown away by this administration, and that in itself is incredulous, and outlined to the person outlined to the Tobago public and as well nationally how we would have spent the monies over the prior financial year. That in itself was also absent in this budget, and also quite noticeably absent, that was not listed when I read would have been the consultation with the stakeholders. I know something was mentioned about a consultation about a loan guarantee program, and that has been long in coming, and it's something separate and apart from what obtains nationally. We have the national program that was a major support and initiative that was agreed upon between the Assembly and the Minister of Finance, and that in itself is open to businesses on the island. And so for me, I am concerned in terms of the overall management of the economy, the accountability issue, and the fact that the Tobago economy has been derailed.
Do you think the major problems experienced by Mr. Augustine since taking office, the fallout with Mr. Duke and the departure from the PDP, the formation of the new entity, going to independent status, then formation of the new entity, quickly followed by the audio tape scandal and debacle, and now an extended audio tape debacle, and having to deal with these issues, the licensing office issue with Mr. Augustine's wife, have impacted the running of the Assembly by him in particular, and I guess his team, having to deal and out all these fires while managing the Assembly?
Well, when they came into office, I held no expectation of Mr. Duke and Mr. Augustine and his team. When persons ask me about Mr. Augustine, I would label him, he is a Watson 2.0, Watson Duke 2.0, because my parents would tell me in the past growing up, show me a company and I'll tell you about your character. The birds of a feather flock together. And so when I've observed them since 2015, both campaigning and their operations in the House, how they manage and how they operated during an opposition. And we have a saying, as you campaign, so would you govern. So I saw the signs well before they got into office that one, they would not last, that they would implode, and that Tobago was in trouble. And I kept saying that Tobago's development has been stymied for about 15 or 20 years, that we have lost the developmental momentum because these persons, one, they're coming into office without any sound plan, any sound economic plan. It's basically
But what developmental momentum? What developmental momentum have Mr. Augustine and his team interrupted? Tobago has been struggling even before they came into office.
And we put together. I think I lost you, Paul.
Yeah. You said that the developmental momentum in Tobago was stymied when Mr. Augustine and Mr. Duke and they were installed in office. But Tobago, from the business chamber, go back, Tobago has been struggling even before that while the PNM ruled Tobago. So what developmental momentum have they interrupted? I think you're muted.
Yeah. Joel, your mic is muted.
We're not hearing you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joel, we're not hearing you, unless we lost you, audio-wise.
We lost your audio.
We're seeing his mouth moving, but we are not hearing.
Yeah, maybe it's a connection issue. Yeah. And you know, Tobago has been struggling for the last 20 years.
Well, that's not quite, because Tobago has had if you go to Tobago, you've seen a lot of development in Tobago, and that was pointed out on the campaign trail, especially, mind you, though, in Roxborough. I think been the most developed part of Tobago in the latter years, you know. But what I wanted to ask Joel is that we saw what was going to happen to Tobago under the Watson Duke Farley.
Right, he's back now. Let's be hearing you now.
Right, Paul, you hearing me clearly?
There we go.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Great. Yes. So in terms of the economic recovery started, and COVID interrupted our plans and work programs outlined in our medium-term planning framework, where we are going to continue our efforts to diversify the economy. We use coming to an end of the Comprehensive Economic Development Plan for Tobago, CEDP 2.0. We put together the medium-term planning framework, and we started to roll out our initiatives to grow the Tobago economy based on looking at 5 pillars: diversification, expansion of the private sector, growing and supporting the private sector, looking at ICT as an enabler for economic development, leveraging the tourism sector as a key driver of economic activity, or investments and our plans for the agricultural sector, and our continued investment in human capital development. And am I off?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I think he's having some serious streaming problems there.
Yeah, Steve, what we need to do is just call him on the phone, Steve.
Is now going to suggest that. Joel,
let's try that. Yeah.
I'll call you on the phone. If you could hear me, I'll call you via your cell phone.
Yeah. Let's try that. It may be more productive. Because the internet streaming seems to be giving a lot of trouble this morning. And it's interrupting his trend of thought and his flow. So rather than go through the next half an hour of that, let's just try the phone. The jolly old, good old phone that never seems to fail.
Yeah. So I was saying, we saw the trouble brewing with concern, but we didn't see our own trouble when we insisted on a particular leader going into the election. So I wanted to put that to him.
Well,
maybe at some point.
Everyone told you all just didn't listen.
Well, exactly. And that's the point I was
Everyone
trying
told you, and there was an insistence that you will take what I give you.
Well,
am I wrong? Or inventing things?
You're not completely wrong. I don't know if it was said that way.
but probably was. I'm paraphrasing. But there were red flags raised, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily as much about the party as much as the person.
Yeah.
But anybody who walked on the ground in Tobago, they had a serious issue with that person for many different reasons. And they wanted the person removed. And the machinations of the person and their predecessor also, and how that transpired, also left a sour taste in many Tobagonians' mouths. Am I wrong?
Hello?
No, you're not wrong. I think we got Joel back on the phone.
Yes.
That's a female voice.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I'm
here. Better, right? This is Joel.
Right. That's what answered the phone.
I know that wasn't Joel. Okay.
Yes.
Unless you had a dramatic drop in testosterone levels in your body.
Yeah. So
you were saying, you were saying. Sorry about the interruptions, but go ahead, please.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Technology, technology challenges. It happens. Yeah, but we were making the point about the just prior to COVID, in terms of all our plans with respect to tourism, we projected in that first quarter a dramatic, significant increase in tourist arrivals, the rebounding of the tourism sector based on our efforts. And the first quarter, we were all excited going into the first quarter of 2019, and then the COVID hit. And then from March, when we locked down, we saw the impact and the economic decline in Tobago. But the challenges confronting Tobago's economy, the structural changes that needed to be made, all of those were identified and listed, and we started to roll out the plan. And then COVID hit, and then we saw, instead of that projected economic turnaround, we saw an economic decline in 2019 and 2020. And we came out of COVID faring better than projected. Instead of a 15% decline, the decline was 7%, and then we saw the rebounding. So all our plans in terms of facilitating economic transformation is listed in our medium-term planning framework. And we also, in addition to that document, we completed the Tobago Infrastructure Investment Strategy, or TIS, and together with those two documents, they were the key in terms of our plans to attract investment to the island and to facilitate economic diversification and economic growth in Tobago.
Now, what was the difference? Because what you're saying is accurate. We were coming out of a pandemic, and Tobago, like Trinidad, was hard hit. But the difference is, coming out of the pandemic, your political leader was able to secure victory in a general election. Although on the main island, Trinidad, or the larger island, Trinidad, the economic development was also stymied, like it was all in most places around the world. What was the difference in Tobago, where the people of Tobago said, listen, the ruling party in the Twin Island Republic is PNM. The assembly is led by a PNM assembly. But we still chose a group of people largely unknown in terms of Mr. Augustine, more known as the Duke, with a lot of trouble and baggage, but still chosen over what you say was good management of the economy before the pandemic and all of that, and plans that were showing growth.
Well, remember the mantra that everything was bad in Tobago and to fix this. And you remember, in terms of the pandemic, what we were coming out of in Tobago, in terms of when you look at how the Tobago economy is made up, outside of the government services, the other major sector after financial services is the tourism sector. But in terms of looking at the number of persons employed in this sector, you would see a significant number of persons engaged, and those persons were impacted. As Secretary of Finance, I could tell you that we we undertook Herculean efforts to cushion the impact of the pandemic, and of course, playing on the impact of the pandemic, the theme or the refrain of "let's fix this," persons bought into the need for change, and and what we're seeing now is not the change persons wanted. I mean, it's small change or no change, but we are not daunted by the fact. What we are seeing now, is that we're seeing that persons are having buyer's remorse. During the campaign, I came up with the familiar term. I warned people of caveat emptor, buyer beware. And now persons are having buyer's remorse, and they are looking at and they're comparing 21 years of delivery and growth and transformation with 21 months of conflict of and the list goes on. So the deception.
You could say bacchanal and confusion. You could say.
Pardon?
It's bacchanal and confusion.
You could say it.
I'm not hearing you too clearly, Paul. All I'm hearing is the same bacchanal.
I said bacchanal and confusion. You can say it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and I think this is not what persons elected an administration. This is not the job. This is not what persons expected, and governance has been thrown out of the window, and we're seeing a cavalier and a callous approach to governance, and this is not what governance is about. Persons are elected to advance the island's development, to empower people, and to ensure that you provide an enabling environment for all persons, irrespective of their political affiliations, to succeed within the space. And that has been the hallmark of the PNM over the years. There were persons who we know they were not supporters of the PNM, but they were either public officers on contract or public servants. And come elections, they put on their jersey, whether it is yellow, green, blue. They come, they cast the PNM, and then the day after the election, they come back to work. But as long as you're professional and you're doing your job and you're delivering and you're enhancing productivity, we had no issue. But not this administration. If you're label red or you're perceived to be red or perceived to be PNM and you're a contract employee, your job, you have either lost your job or your contract is likely not to be renewed when it has come to an end. And we have seen 1,000 or so persons on the breadline. And when you look at the composition of the labor force in Tobago, approximately 33,000 persons or so, that the government employs roughly 16,000 or so workers. Tourism 5,300, construction and quarrying just about 5,000 or so. We see how interrelated and integrated the Tobago economy is, and that lack of economic and business confidence on the island can impact some of these sectors greatly. So when you send home 1,000, at least that we know of 1,000 workers and you don't renew their contract, that will be a challenge. And the same thing for construction and quarrying, where you have 5,000 workers and where the expenditure on the development program side in the Tobago House of Assembly is very important as it relates to economic activity and employment. And when that has been stymied, and when you're saying that there is no work for Tobago contractors, you are now giving all the jobs to contractors in Central and South. That will have an impact on employment and economic activity on the island.
But Joel, I find it very true that the act does not prevent such a thing from happening, because Tobago Act has been designed for Tobago specifically. How come we are hearing so many stories of Trinidad contractors, Trinidad-based contractors, doing the bulk of the work in Tobago? I don't think I've ever heard that before.
No, and that is unheard of, because in the past, what the Assembly they took a decision to grow the private sector and to grow key sectors in the Tobago economy since 2001. And when we came into office, this administration took a decision to invest in local content. So for example, the construction of Cove, the Cove Eco-Industrial and Business Park. When you drive along the park, in terms of the built infrastructure, the road infrastructure, persons are amazed that you have this in Tobago, and that was undertaken by a Tobago contractor. And in terms of when the jobs are in terms of financing and a bit complex and large, we open it out and we invite other Trinidad contractors. But the Act, to answer your question directly, the Act is basically silent in that respect, because the Act gives the Tobago House of Assembly the financial flexibility to mobilize finances and to spend those finances. But the Act in itself lists that the funding, the finances you mobilize is really to develop Tobago and Tobagonians, and gives context to the fact that we're divided by water. So in itself, Wendell, the actions are inimical to the intent of the Act, the spirit of the Act, and the aspirations of all aspiring Tobagonians, entrepreneurs, and to certain sectors.
Now, the procurement legislation that was recently enacted covers also the Tobago. Am I right?
Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
But when we were in office, we did not wait for the proclamation of the Act. We started a long time ago. In my last two budget presentations in 2000 and 2019, we outlined the road that we have traveled, how far, what we have achieved, and the fact that we are putting in all the measures for the proclamation, prior to the proclamation of the Act. So when you look at the express expose on the weekend, where Ms. Ramdas indicated that all of these Trinidad contractors, save and except for one Tobago contractor, got the lion's share of contracts in Tobago, and the Tobago company was recently formed, and most of the contracts were issued via sole select. You have to ask yourself the question, what is going on in Tobago? Is this Tobago? So I am concerned, Wendell. And when you look at also the value and the scope, the Chief Secretary was making a claim that we paid $1,400 for asphalt, which was a standard approved rate at the Executive Council. But they are now paying $2,800 or $2,700 per ton, close to 100% different per ton, per asphalt, under the guise that the contractor has to wait, is financing the project and has to wait for payment. But that is not different from any road paving or construction contract that we have issued over the years. So what is the difference? And I think this one was the clincher. We woke up one morning and we heard about the construction of a road in Friendship leading to the airport. But if I recall correctly, that road was part of the contract for the construction of the airport to be funded by the central government. So the question is, why spend $60 million on a single lane road when a specific item in the airport contract covered a dual lane road leading to and from the airport on the Friendship through the estate? you have to ask yourself, what is the incentive of a secretary and what is your opportunity cost of spending that amount of money now? And we don't need the road at the moment because, as you see, the construction of the airport it is ongoing, but it's not needed. So
how do you respond to allegations by the Chief Secretary in his defense? I think it's 2 Fridays ago, when he came to the public finally to talk about the audio tape, and he
24 days,
and he implied or alleged that, well, there are many contractors who had submitted invoices for works completed that had not been completed, and and also implied, and I could be wrong, that friends of the PNM may have been involved in those sorts of activities, and he expected charges to come out of an audit done by the THA under him from that audit, which and the document had been passed on to the police for further investigations, etc., fraud squad, FI, Financial Intelligence Bureau, etc.
Paul, when I started politics in 2013, I came up under the leadership of Mr. Orville London, and we had a zero corruption tolerance policy, and that has been my mantra. And if the Chief Secretary has claims of an audit and malfeasance and so on, take those claims to the relevant authority.
He said he has.
But my mantra is a zero corruption policy. But here you have been hearing about an audit for 18 months. Here you have been hearing about malfeasance and are going to take. It's the same way he said he sent something to the police and the police said that they had no record of it. So we are checking on that as well, because this is 18 months in coming, and having come up under Mr. London, as he would say, if you have found issues where persons have to account for, carry them to the relevant authority. But you don't come, having not spoken to the public for 24 days, and come to tell sensible me that you are under threat, that this tape was released as a threat to you. Please, I think we have sense. And I am stating, just as Mr. London, as I was mentored, that is my stance, that is our stance, and let the audit hang. So let us put a firewall between the audit and the audio tape. Two completely different things. And just as he was anxious and excited to take the audit to the relevant authorities, he should have recused himself as Chief Secretary, send the audio tape to the relevant authorities, and have them investigate whether he is liable for misbehavior in public office, for utilizing state funds as part of their propaganda machinery and other things. And let me say, there are other things to come, because as this audio tape was leaked, persons are now coming forward, emboldened by the fact that as their conscience, as they are gripped by their conscience, that they need to come forward and tell the truth. And other things will be revealed in the upcoming months. And we will really see and hear that this current Chief Secretary and his administration, that they are unfit for office and that they should go. So let us separate the two things, Paul.
The next THA election is due in, is it 25? Or 20? 25?
It's every 4 years. So the last one was held in December the 6th, 2021. So yes, it's due in December. December, or let's say 2026, because you have at least a 3-month or so window after the last election.
26 from 21.
Isn't THA due 24, Joel?
Well,
and general 25.
The last election, so I'm not sure. It's 4 years after the last election. So remember, we had it in January 2021, and there was the first one was the 6-6 tie in January 2021, and then we had the second election in December the 6th.
Right,
so
2021.
Yeah.
Right? So let's just say early 22 plus 4. So you're right. Late 25, early 26. That's a lot of time.
No, definitely, it's a lot of time. But
how do you think Tobago is going to fare in the meantime, given what you've outlined this morning, and your assertion that the Tobago economy is not doing well? Mr. Augustine has asked for quite a tidy sum, particularly for developmental projects. There are questions about propriety, given the audio tape. What do you think the implications of that are moving forward in the next year and 18 months to 2 years?
I think one of the implications of the audio tape, he will have some questions to answer, either by the Integrity Commission or the police. But beyond that, I think from a moral standpoint, he has to account to the people, and glossing over this issue as if nothing happening. This is quite troubling. And trying to link it to the audit investigation in itself is part of the obfuscation and sleight of hand and smokescreen strategy used by this current chief secretary to deflect from the issue. And this should be a cause for concern. The recent appointment by the chief administrator highlights the fact after his preamble and his lengthy preamble, he agreed with the fact, as the prime minister said, that he did not inform him and it was not his business to inform him. And that in itself is troubling. With respect to the economy, you have time, but here you are, instead of seeking to sit down and work with a willing partner in the central government, who is more than willing to assist. And I must commend the Prime Minister for going over and above the call of duty to assist and to hold the hand of this new administration when they get into office, so that there would not be any challenges. When I demitted office, I left a dossier on the desk of the incoming chief secretary, because I was aware that the person who was the chief secretary would also be the secretary of finance. And I left a dossier on his desk and wishing him all the best. And in that dossier, I left on the desk of the chief secretary and secretary of finance, I left a dossier, a letter and a dossier, and I left the expenditure report for DP and recurrent for October, the THA's financial statement for 2021, my last budget statement of 2021, the Tobago medium-term planning policy framework, the Tobago socioeconomic statistical digest, the work programs of the departments within the Division of Finance, an update on the $300 million bond, the Tobago Intelligent Island Report, an update on the Integrated Financial Management Information System, IFMIS, and the draft Tobago Infrastructure Investment Strategy TIS report. And I also highlighted some of the important projects of the division, talk about the restructuring of the public-private partnership unit, the partnership with the central bank, with respect to producing Tobago-specific data, and other things. So, just as any good Tobago citizen, I putting aside political differences, although I had no expectation, I gave them the benefit and the support and the assistance. And in closing that letter, I said, I am available. Should you need any clarification, any help, I left my email address and my telephone number. To date, I have not received a call, nor any response or acknowledgement of this letter. So just as the Prime Minister did, I did it as well. Because if Tobago succeeds, Trinidad succeeds, and we all succeed. And this is not what we expected, and this is not what we deserve as citizens and as Tobagonians.
Well, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Wendell. Thank you, Sir Stephen. All right, cheers.
Bye-bye. Of course, that was Joel Jack, former Deputy Chief Secretary, former head of the finance and the THA. I believe when is the PNM's response to the budget? Is it today in THA?
I'm not sure.
I think it's today. Yeah, I think it's today. But we remain advised on that.
I'm unsure. Meanwhile, problems arise and all these political machinations and these doubts about propriety and questions about morality and ethics, and it's just not a pretty sight. And I can just imagine from the standpoint of the ordinary Tobagonian, it's like, what are the options?
Yeah, it just goes to show how fickle the public can be when they're ready. You understand?
I don't think that's a fair statement.
Well, I said can be when they're ready. Because
what context are you saying that?
Tobago would have made a complete about turn in a very short period of time there. And if it's only about who the PNM put as a leader, well, then that shows a bit of fickleness.
That's being fickle?
Well, that shows a bit of fickleness to me. Because
I don't see how it naturally follows. If I have an issue with someone as a leader, it impacts my choice of who I will vote for. So I don't think that, but because I have an issue with a leader, which you on many occasions agreed with the issues with the leader, and they decide, well, we don't want that leader, and you don't change the leader, and they choose something else. I don't know how that translates to being fickle.
Well, as I said, I too had an issue about the insistence on, that. I made that very
exactly, and you weren't being fickle by saying that.
But look where we are now. Look at where we could have chosen.
Hindsight is
we always saw, and I'm sure they always saw this trouble coming. I guess they didn't think that bad.
I don't know that they saw this trouble coming. I think they made a choice based on what was presented to them.
Trouble with you? That come like June in the local elections in the city. He wants to be mayor. I mean, you can't get more ridiculous than that. And you can't even field candidates, but you want to be mayor. And you can't feel, and you fool people with that. Watson Duke is now walking around.
Well, Wendell, remember, Watson Duke has been known to do miraculous things like swim from Tobago to Trinidad. So maybe he can pull off that feat.
It's just amazing that people could even begin to take like that seriously. And people calling me and asking me what to do. I say, what to do? He offering $20,000 and for you and $10,000 for your campaign. I say, well, if you're so desperate for money, that kind of money, how long you think that kind of money gonna last you? You decide. I can't tell you what to do. Just know if you are PNM and you go and oppose the PNM in an election, you're automatically a PNM. So make up your mind. Because the PNM will win.
News is next.
Thank you. Let's get into it. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Former THA Secretary of Finance and the Economy, Joel Jack, says current Chief Secretary Farley Augustine continues to mislead the population of the island. This as he criticized the $4.5 billion budget presented by Augustine on Monday. Jack, who also served as Deputy Chief Secretary, said Tobago should be contributing more to the local economy. He suggested that Tobagonians have not benefited from the promises made by Mr. Augustine on the campaign trail. Mr. Jack said Tobagonians are now having buyer's remorse when they compare Mr. Augustine's tenure to that of the PNM's reign in the THA. A total of 373 candidates from 10 political parties, including 6 independent candidates, will be contesting the upcoming local government elections on August 14th. This was confirmed by the Elections and Boundaries Commission yesterday, following Monday's nomination day process, where candidates filed their nomination papers to contest the elections. The elections involved 141 electoral areas in the 14 corporation districts across Trinidad. The EBC yesterday revealed that the People's National Movement is the only political party with candidates in all 141 electoral districts. No special fees were paid to the Deputy Chairman of the National Carnival Commission for services provided to produce the Dimanche Gras 2023 show. Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Randall Mitchell, gave the update in the Senate on Tuesday. Minister Mitchell said in the planning and preparation in the lead up to the Carnival 2023, the board of the National Carnival Commission of Trinidad and Tobago assigned the responsibility to the Deputy Chairman to oversee and manage the execution of, among other things, the Dimanche Gras 2023 show. The Deputy Chairman also served as the Chief Executive Officer of the Northwest Central Regional Health Authority. Powerful midday thunderstorms across the country yesterday caused heavy flash flooding in North, Central, and South Trinidad, fallen trees, and traffic jams across the country. However, for 16 families, the danger was more acute after high winds ripped the roof off their Housing Development Corporation apartment complex in Chumacac, Lavantil. HDC's Managing Director Jaisal McFarlane, along with Success Chumacac Councillor Adana Griffith Gordon, are said to be assisting residents. However, there is no word yet as to if and where residents will be temporarily housed until repairs to the building are complete. Meanwhile, the country remains under yellow level weather alert until midday today. And 10 people have been killed by Russian missiles that hit the center of Kramatorsk or Torsk in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region. Among the dead are 14-year-old twin sisters, Yulia and Anna Aksenchenko. Kramatorsk is under Ukrainian control, but close to Russian-occupied parts of the country. President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia deserved only defeat and a tribunal, just and lawful courts against all Russian murders and terrorists. Well, that was your news update at 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey,
Monday.
Guess what day it is? Oh, come on. I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Saturday.
Listen, guess what today is?
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Hump day.
When I wake up
It's Wednesday, AV. It's Wednesday. I will tell you, folks, that AV chose my next track, my Kiss Power choice. It's her favorite song, so I'm going to play that. Thank you, AV, for our news brief. You can join her again together with Sir Charles for our major news coming up at noon today. Yeah. All right. Of course, at noon today, our adverse weather yellow alert will come to an end. Whew. That was some weather yesterday. 28 degrees on our Twin Island Republic. Yeah. What the guys at the Met Office and gals at the Met Office are saying what the weather is going to be like for today. Here we go. Partly cloudy conditions are expected with scattered showers occurring. There is also a 70%, which is high, chance of occasional heavy showers and thunderstorms, mainly during the morning to early afternoon, so lunchtime, right? Some cloudiness will linger overnight with brief showers at times. Gusty winds and street flash flooding may occur near heavy showers and thunderstorms. All right, the yellow alert is still in effect till noon. Should get some Sahara dust as well. Maximum forecast temperature today at both islands, Piarco 32, 31, and Crown Point. All right, that's a W. Let's get into the T, see what's happening here traffic-wise. Starting out to the west. Nothing out of the west by Diego Martin or Carnage. You're going to get some traffic by the Maraval Police Station. Long Secret Road is a bit busy. Lydium Road. From Coconut Drive towards the Lookout, you've got some traffic. Usual streets within Port of Spain. Let's head on east and make our way up west. Let's check out Grandy. Yeah, from the police station towards the stretch, you got some. O'Mara Road is heavy. Yeah, O'Mara Road is quite heavy. Look at that. Chumpuna Road is heavier. Yeah. But you're going to get the main road from Marima Old Road going straight up towards Page, heading towards St. Joseph, and they heading towards Mova, Kelly Village, and Helena. You've got, I got an accident. Where is it? Westbound, Churchill Roosevelt Highway. Oh my goodness. Right by St. Augustine Gales. Yeah, around that vicinity, okay? Ibis Gardens towards Curep, you've also got it. Let's take a look at Solo. Let's make your way up north. San Fernando. Okay, usual spot. You've got some traffic. Golconda Connector Road, Supera Road, Lady Hills Avenue. Lady Hills is pretty heavy. And San Fernando Bypass as you come up towards Turubal, Naprima Mayor. That's what I was checking. And heading towards Marilla Junction. Harmony Hall. Gasparilla also got it. But Solo, let's see. You get from Hoover towards Chaguanas, not too bad. And after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Churchill Roosevelt Highway, it's going to get traffic again by Barataria. And across there, it's quite heavy. All right. So as my Bill Withers song comes to an end, let's segue into our Kiss Power Choice.
What can make a Kiss goodie become great?
Explore a big forest of cake.
Better than that.
Swim in an ocean of tasty cream.
More than that.
Climb up to the tip of Mount Delicious.
Greater than that.
Then what?
It's now covered in a dreamy, colorful icing.
Wow!
That's right. Try the new Kiss Fun Iced Goodie. It's gone from good to great. Enjoy a vanilla goodie, now topped in an enticing limited edition color. Kiss Fun Iced Goodies, when a goodie becomes great.
Would you believe last Sunday marked his 14th anniversary of his passing? 14 years already, Michael?
Looking out across the night, city winks a sleepless eye. Hear her voice shake my window, sweet seducing sighs. Get me out into the nighttime, for walls won't hold me tonight. If this town is just an apple, then let me take a bite. If they say why, tell them that it's human nature. Why does it do it that way? If they say why,